We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That's a bad thing, TC, about this is sometimes you accidentally mute yourself when you think you're putting yourself on, talking mode or unpause or whatever.
Mhm.
But it's nevertheless. What's going on, brother? What's going on?
Not much, man. How you been doing?
Good. Huge week, in LSU country. So it's just been a whirlwind of emotions over the last week or so since we talked last.
So tell me this: what's going on with LSU? Why is it such a big deal right now?
Sky is falling. A 5-star committed to Texas. Arch Manning going to Texas. Everybody's, oh my God, just the typical fan base. And then you have Brian Kelly, who's never coached a game at LSU in his life, and they're already panicking about the football team. So it's just, you know what it is, TC, and you played in the city. It's typical Louisiana bullshit. It's typical, just typical, everybody's just moaning and groaning and grown men crying. But nevertheless, let me ask you this. So let's start off the show like this. Everybody do us a favor. You know what? Hold on. Pause. Speaking of pause, we do need to do this because we missed it last time. Let's take a quick break. Introduce everybody to the show and our great sponsor over at Bet Online. I got a big question for you. I want to know, how much did TC look at Twitter during the playing days? That's what I want to know. How much did you read the newspaper? Terrence Copper missed a pass. How much did the outside noise get to you? But we're going to pay these bills, guys. We'll be back in 45 seconds. I want to hear this question. Our partners over at BetOnline continue to be the number one source for all of your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, including updated odds on the NBA playoffs, fights, and even next season's futures. And don't forget that the MLB is back as well. Who are you picking to win the World Series? BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's easy to get started, so head on over to their website. Use betonline.ag. Use that promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV. That's BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag. Betonline.ag. All right, we're back. I'm not muted this time. TC.
Yep.
I know that, when you were in New Orleans, what was it? MySpace was the big thing.
I don't know.
You never got on MySpace?
I never got on MySpace.
Twitter was new, but were you on Twitter when you were in the league?
So, just to kind of cut you off. So, I wasn't on any social media when I was in the league.
Okay.
I wasn't on any social media platform. I really didn't know too much about it. I wasn't like a social media savvy person. It was, for me, it was just straight ball. I had no idea. I didn't get on social media until after I retired.
Okay. Yep. I got you. So
I didn't get on
that. Never heard like that. The reason I ask, and I went to go look, and you know how on Twitter it says created or joined in and it has the year or whatever. I went and looked at yours, and I was like, damn, it was the year after the league or 2 years after the league,
Right.
But that's what I was just trying to, because I thought that, it was like coming in on your last year. And that's why I was like, okay, so TC was joining like in the last year. But did the fans ever get to you? Like, how back if you didn't have social media, so you never really heard any of the fans talking or preaching or anything like that?
Blake, I never heard the noise. I never heard it. Look, I never heard the noise until after I retired, and I start Googling my name and going to different websites. And some website, I hear the fans killing me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad I never watched this.
Dude.
Look,
so, okay. What's that like? Because look, I get it, because we have people that come in these comments every night. And guys, do me a favor. If there's comments flying in, just go ahead and put them up. Whatever you see fit. But like, we get the bad comments in here, Blake, you're an idiot, but yours are never bad. But like, so what did you think though when you heard it? Like, people just ripping you alive, and first time hearing it, like, what was that? What did you feel like?
So the first time I heard it, it was I Googled my name and I went to a website, and I was actually in New Orleans. This is after I retired. I Googled something when I was in New Orleans, and they was talking about the Pittsburgh game. It was a Pittsburgh game we played, I want to say in 06. I had like 1 or 2 touchdowns. I had like 96 yards receiving, but I also fumbled the game-winning on the game-winning drive. I fumbled, and we ended up losing that game. But I had no idea what was said about me, because all I ever listened to was in that locker room, what the coach is talking about, my teammates talking about. I never really cared about what the fans said or what the media was talking about. I was always just listening to the locker room. And that's all I felt like I had needed to listen to. But like I said, I was never on social media, so I never really heard the noise until after I retired. And I just looked back on it. I was like, man, I'm glad I didn't, look at the media or listen to these websites, because man, these fans will kill you, especially if you ain't doing well. They'll kill you.
Well, it's so interesting too, TC. I feel like you had a strong upbringing. I'm not trying to bring your personal stuff into this, but for you to be so centered during that time, like I check my comments sometimes and I'm just like, I do the Joe Rogan thing, like, bro, don't read the comments bad about you, but it gets to me sometimes. How do you monitor young kids and players in the league? If you ever talk to any of them, and I'm sure that you do, what do you tell them? Like, hey man, get off social media. Don't worry about that stuff.
So I do the pregame and postgame show for East Carolina University football team.
Okay.
And when I'm up there, and me and my co-host Patrick Johnson, we're up there and we're talking about the game, we're talking about the kids, what happened, what this guy did wrong, that guy did wrong. Sometimes I go in on the players. Sometimes I go in on it, and because a lot of times fans just think it's the coach's fault. It's the coach's fault. It's not always the coaches, and nobody really wants to blame the players because, they're just in college. Well, guess what? They're not little kids. They're playing in a sport now, basically, and they're getting paid to play now. So sometimes I go in on them, but after I go in, I let them know. I said, listen, do not listen to this. And I go directly at and talk to the actual players. Don't listen to what we're talking about.
Right.
This is our job. We got to talk about this, but you don't need to listen to it. Because all it's going to do is it's going to bring you down if you're not a strong mental person. That's like, you know what? I'm going to prove them wrong. If you're not that type of person, it can bring you down. But if you are that type of person, then you use it as motivation. But everybody can't handle when they're getting criticized. So, but I always tell them, man, do not listen to what we're talking about. Don't listen to the media. You just listen to what's in that locker room. Whatever the coach telling you, whatever your teammates are saying, that's all you need to listen to. That's all you need to worry about.
Aunt Marshall says, Coop, did you ever read the newspaper, beat writers though? See, I got people that always DM me the comments of the show where people are saying about me behind the scenes. Like, any teammates ever come up to you and be like, bro, Cop, they talking about you in the newspaper, dog.
Never.
Dang. I just can't see Keyshawn Johnson coming up to you and be like, hey, dog, they trashing you. I see that though, T.
You know what? They may have done it, but guys never brought it to me. They never brought it to me. And maybe I just wasn't that big of a name to be talked about.
Hey, you do something right at the end of the game, or you do something wrong, you're gonna be talked about. Just
right.
Whatever parameter. Right.
Right. But I've never had a bad experience on social media when I was playing. It's just because I was never up there. And truthfully, like I said, with me trying to get my followers up, I should have been on it when I was playing.
Such a big deal now, man.
It is. It's huge.
There's a kid, the baseball kid from ECU. He's got 27,000 followers on Twitter.
That's crazy.
And it's just he started, swinging in front of a tee when he was 9, and even players, that's doing it. I do want to get to some Saints though, and we got to talk about this. Look, it's kind of a little bit of a thing, and I know maybe it's a sensitive topic, but maybe it's not, and I don't want to go far down the Deshaun Watson train. But look, with all this Deshaun Watson stuff, and the Saints were actively pursuing him, right? Like we know this, and we know they cleaned the cap space out. But with everything going on, do you feel like we dodged a bullet in a sense? Like he's about to get suspended for a whole year.
I think we dodged a bullet, but I also think Cleveland knew that bullet was coming. That's why he's not getting paid a lot of money his first year. I mean, I think he's getting paid maybe $1 million that first year his contract.
Right. Yeah, it's something ridiculous.
I mean, it's still a lot of money that first year, but it's not. He don't get that guaranteed money until after the first year. So I think Cleveland knew that bullet was coming, or the possibility of it.
To really interrupt you, do you think that they put it in that second year because of this?
Oh yes, definitely. Definitely, because even though criminal wise he didn't get charged, but you just knew something could be coming down the pipeline when it comes to player conduct with the NFL suspending them. So you always had to take in consideration, especially when you're throwing that type of money out. You got to protect yourself. I do feel like we dodged a bullet. I think Jameis Winston is our guy, and of course, Watson is a great quarterback. He's going to be a great quarterback. But one thing that he has to do when he gets there to kind of get over all this stuff that he's going through, and you hate to say it, but in the NFL, just win.
Just win, baby, win.
Just win, and winning will take care of everything. It'll get the fans back on board with him because, of course, a lot of fans feel a certain way about him. They felt a certain way about him even coming to Cleveland, that they didn't want him to even come to Cleveland. So, and I get it. I understand. I'm not judging nobody or saying that you shouldn't feel a certain way.
Right.
But I do understand in this game of football in the NFL, just win. Just win, and all that stuff will get put behind him. Whatever he needs to do when it comes to, paying out to the people that he may hurt, you got to do what you got to do. Take care of that. But when it comes to on the field stuff and getting the fan base back on board, just win. Just win games.
Yeah, and it's it's a topic that I wanted when we got in here to like really talk about. Because look, I feel TC that look we've been breaking down the depth chart for the last 9 weeks. We could sit here and talk about free agents coming and going that aren't going to even make the team. But I think the biggest thing for me right now is organizational. Now we're going to get on the field. This is a part of me that wonders. We had a Sean Payton exit. About a little bit about this front office, okay, and what the future of this team is. TC, I do worry about Alvin Kamara being out the first 6 games. And if you start taking a downward spiral, is there a lot of cause for concern with all of this?
You know what? I don't know how we're going to replace Alvin because I really think he's going to get suspended. I think that's going to happen. I just don't know how you replace a guy like that. I mean, I know it's going to have to be by committee. It's going to have to be by committee. But that is a big hit when you take somebody like that. That is a big percentage of your offense, and you take him out of the game, and you missing him for 6 weeks. Because this guy is an amazing rusher, but also what he can do coming out of the backfield. Also what he can do line up in the slot. So it's so many things that he can do that he brings to this team that you just don't know how we're going to replace him. But I'm quite sure it's going to be by committee. We might have to get, very innovative when it comes to certain things. But it's going to be a tough hit to lose him for those first 6 weeks.
Yeah, because you went after Deshaun Watson. Okay, and then you have this. I just worry sometimes about because TC, this isn't like this Alvin Kamara thing just happened. right? Like you've had a lot of time to go out and get pieces to try to replace them. And Mark Ingram's becoming an older back.
Right.
Okay, maybe you feel like that you have the two guys behind him that could do something. You don't know that. And maybe I just have to see it. You know, you got players in the NFL that shine all the time. It just, I do wonder about them sometimes. Staying on the field, though, we did see, okay, this receiver core, some of them go up against the DBs. All right, now it's live action. TC, it would appear that the defense of CG3, Tyron, and some of the guys were in and out, but Tyron, PJ Williams, and others, this defense is having a lot of success. But with Jameis coming back from the ACL injury and all that good stuff, do you think this is just too, you know, because these DBs haven't played, there's not a lot of communication with them right now, and they're doing really well. What does it tell you, though, when you see that they're doing really well against Jarvis, Olave, and others?
I mean, that's a great thing. You want that type of competition. But the defense, I'm an offensive guy. So just understand that the defense is always going to be a step ahead of the offense. The offense is going to take a little longer. The offense is always going to take a little longer to start clicking. Defensively, they usually start clicking a little quicker than the offense does. But nonetheless, you love that type of competition. You love your DBs going at the receivers, because at the end of the day, you got to be able to stop somebody. You got to be able to stop somebody. So I'm all for it. I'm glad the defense is doing well. I'm glad the defensive backs are covering well, because you need it. You need it.
Well, and it's just funny, though, too, you know, because you're sitting there seeing it like, hey, bro, that's Tyrann Mathieu against Jarvis Landry. Or, you know, Chris Olave. Hey, man, you know, is that PJ, or who is that he's on? Because it doesn't really matter. I mean, he's making some plays. So there kind of comes to a part where, man, if this team offensively could stay healthy, you know, but then you look at the defense, it's like, man, at skill positions, they're going to be, TC, they could be deadly, and some of the best that we've seen with the Saints in a long time.
This year right here is probably one of the most talked about years of the Saints when it comes to them making a run in the playoffs, a deep run in the playoffs. You know, but like you said before, we gotta stay healthy. We have to stay healthy. I mean, that's the biggest part of it. Last year, we saw what injuries did to us last year. We still did a good. I think we're surpassed some of the expectations given the injuries that we had, but you gotta stay injury free. Or if there are injuries, we can't be out too long because we got to get those guys back. To me, I feel like that is going to be the biggest issue for us if we don't make a deep run. It's going to be because of injuries. So, like I said, if we can stay healthy, I think we'll be fine.
And you're right, because you were so right on the earlier point in reference to the deep run. Like, because look, we always had our skepticisms because Drew got hurt those last 3 years, right? Or 2.5 years. The hand, the thumb, and then the ribs, right? And so it does feel that way. It does feel like that they're gearing up for a big run. And look, the NFC, I mean, you got the Rams, who I think are going to be because look, the Rams have Donald. They have, you know, they brought in Bobby Wagner. They got Jalen Ramsey on the outside. But, man, the rest, I mean, you could talk about the Bucs, but there's not a lot of deep teams right now in the NFC for them to make a deep run. What, in your time and playing quarterback, and Lance, our last episode, Lance Moore, who joined us, talked about him playing with great quarterbacks. Man, when you start winning and that monkey starts coming off of Jameis's back, because it was happening last year in the beginning.
Yep.
And then he got hurt. But God, did you feel it? Like, so I know I'm long-winded on this one, but sitting next to a fan, okay, week one, we have season tickets right there in the 50 at the club level. And he was like, man, Jameis is just ass. And he's so awful. Okay. And then by week 4 or 5, whenever the game that they played the Bucs, when he went down, he was, I mean, and this is a former LSU kid that he's yelling about, a Saints fan, like cursing Devin White out, you no good son of a bit, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, Bro, Jameis was doing it. When you got all this, how much more confidence can the team start building? And that's a long-winded question, but had to put into context. Man, I don't know if I've really realistically thought that had this much confidence my goddamn self.
Yeah. With especially at the quarterback position, even if it wasn't Winston, just at the quarterback position, when your quarterback has confidence, when he believes in himself, when he has this swag about him, and it's not just swag and he out there looking like some trash, but it's some swag about him. He's actually controlling this offense. He's running the team. He's putting the team on his back. He's leading the team. Once he has that type of confidence, it just kind of builds around everybody else.
Right.
Everybody else believes in him. Everybody else starts believing in him. The receivers start to believe in him. The old line, they're talking in the huddle. Let's just give him some time. We're going to be fine. Let's just give him time. So when your old line start talking like that and receivers are confident, your defense, they become confident because they know, okay, listen, let's just get him the ball back. We're going to get a touchdown. He's going to lead us down in scores. So it just builds on everybody, the entire team, even the coaching staff, the play calling. When the quarterback is confident and he's making certain throws, the play calling change. He feel confident. He feel like he can understand that Winston has a grasp of what he's trying to do and then open things up. So confident-wise is huge, especially at the quarterback position, because it just feeds everybody else.
I'm going to let you take this one from one of our listeners. It's hashtag Ask Us, but Robert LeBlanc. God, isn't that just a Louisiana? LeBlanc. Just outside of the division, do you think that the Cowboys are the Saints' biggest rival? TC, what do you think?
I will say yes. I think it is. I know when I was in New Orleans and we had to play Dallas, that was a huge game. We had to go to Dallas and play. But you felt that you felt the energy. You felt kind of that rivalry. I mean, it wasn't like Atlanta and New Orleans.
Right.
But
nothing gonna beat that.
No, but you still feel it. And plus, it could have been because Coach Payton, he was the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys for a couple of years, for a few years. So that could have been part of the rivalry feel when I was there. But just looking at it, I really do feel like the Cowboys is the next rival besides your division opponents.
Well, and it's funny because you that last part I completely forgot. Because the storyline changes after such a long time with Sean Payton, like because you've been there so long. But it's Sean going to Dallas, like that was the, in those stories like we've seen Lincoln Riley going to USC, Nick Saban coming back, going to Alabama, Urban Meyer coming back and coaching Ohio State, leaving Florida, whatever it may be. And it was that Sean Payton thing. And you know what's funny? It still can be. I mean, what's Jerry going to do? Jerry's getting old. I mean, Jerry might be like, hey, fatty, to the current head coach, McCarthy, you're fired. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep. And he calls Sean. Sean, what up, Big Daddy? Hey, I'm in Cabo with the wife. Hey, why just send 4 helicopters down to come pick you up with all your luggage? Oh, $40 million is sitting in the next chopper over. I mean, right? I mean, that rivalry brings all this in here. So, it's funny because you said you weren't on social media. I was, do you talk? Because I wasn't either. Twitter. I wasn't on Twitter, Instagram. But the players, does it build a rivalry because the fans talk so much shit to each other on social media? You think?
You talking about for the players?
Well, just like, does it build it for the players? Because there's always like the suggested things on Twitter, right? Like, I could see Mike Thomas being like, oh, Mike Thomas is ass, like, and Mike Thomas is a quitter. It's all down as comments, and I just wonder how big that builds that rivalry.
I don't think it builds it.
Okay.
I don't think it builds it because, like I said, players really don't look at the media. They don't really listen to the media. Some players may, if it's on their Twitter feed or something like that, but we're gonna go out there and play just because of the Cowboys.
It's the star on that helmet.
Exactly. The Cowboys have their own reputation without fans having to boost it. So just the fact they're the Cowboys, they're gonna get everybody the best shot regardless. So like I said, I just feel like that rivalry is just there because, and honestly, I feel like everybody that played the Cowboys is the Cowboys rivalry because they're the Cowboys.
Well, I was thinking that too, right? Like how many of the that's what I was thinking. I wasn't going to say it though, but how many do the Cowboys have like that? I wonder if the Rams or Denver, no Jerry Jones and a toothbrush, like
right.
I'm getting on Jerry Jones's ass too much. I didn't get off of Jerry Jones. Transitioning back though, man, we're not that far away, and I know the title says we're getting ever so close. TC, from your perspective, like when you're looking at a team, how much do you watch the preseason? Like how big is that for you? Like how much do you follow? Because look, I do a lot because I want to get the reason I ask this is because when you're looking at preseason, like some people don't even look at it because about 48 guys are going to make the team, right? For me, I just sit back and say, like, how much is it? Do we talk about it now?
I think you talk about it now, but me personally, I'm not a big preseason watcher. And
that's why I get right.
Yeah, and the reason why I say that because you can't really now if you just want to watch football because there's nothing on TV, then I will watch it just to be watching it. But for one, nobody game plans preseason games. The coaches don't game plan the other team. You got a lot of players that's not going to be there. The starters really not playing, So, and then I give you a prime example. The year that, and this is something people probably don't realize, the year that the Detroit Lions went 0-16. Remember that year?
Oh yeah. Culpepper was the quarterback, wasn't he?
I don't remember, but they went 4-0 during the preseason. So that lets you know, okay, why I don't watch preseason stuff because it don't correlate. It don't tell you if you're gonna be a good team. It don't really tell you anything. It's just really building the team so the coaches can see what we have. You can kind of display the team, the players' talents to see, okay, can they handle this pressure? How are they playing? But the preseason, and you need the preseason now. Don't get me wrong, you need it. But to me, a preseason does not determine if this team is going to be good or not because your starters aren't playing all 4 quarters. So I don't really hold a lot to preseason games.
The point I was trying to get across, and it was to lead up to this question. I just don't. I can't buy. I don't know what to take of this team right now. Because the reason I ask so much about preseason, especially the players, is because it's like, man, how much are you really taking of all that? The 45 to 48 guys are going to make it. It's the last 6 to 7 new guys that officially make it. Okay, that you're just like, all right, well, that cat can play. He needs to be on the team anyway. And not being able to make out the team and who they are, I don't know if you're like me. I just don't know how far to project this team. Now, I know that you said this is a playoff team and they're going to get far. Is there one big thing that you're leaning your hat on, no matter what? Like, it's going to be the catalyst in getting us to the playoffs. Because when I look at it, TC, I don't know where to look. I know you could say DB, but, man, in this league and in this day and age in football, secondaries are going to get burned, man. And it's just going to happen. When you look at the team, where do you make out of, hey, we're just going to hang our hat here?
So, especially for this team, and it sounds so cliche, but it's the truth. We got to be able to stop the run, and we got to be able to run it. Because if you can't stop the run, that means defensively everything is open for the offense. They can kind of pick and choose what they want to do, and it's going to keep the defense off balance. Because you can't stop the run, because they can hit you at play action if they just want to drop back and throw it, because they know they can run the ball on you. But if you can stop the run and make them one-dimensional and get away from the run, now is different ways that you can kind of start to play with that quarterback head. You might can bring some zone blitzes. It's some different things that you can do when they're always in a passing situation because they can't run it. And on the other side of the ball, we have to be able to run the ball for the exact same reason. So Winston don't have to drop back 40 times a game throwing the ball, because at the end of the day, he did well last year, even though he only played half of the season. But you still don't want to get him in situations where he's just throwing the ball all over the place, because he's still INT prone until he plays the entire season. And I can see where, he has made a ton, and don't get me wrong, he already made a ton of improvement already. But I want to see him play an entire season with those numbers that he had last year before he got hurt, and see how those numbers end. So for us, we got to be able to run the ball, and we got to be able to stop the ball for the exact same reasons.
Ant Marshall fires us in here. I think we'll fire this in here, TC, and we'll start wrapping it up. But Ant Marshall says, hashtag ask the guys. TC, what's the hardest place to play? Or what was the hardest place to play?
So I got a few places.
All right. Okay.
So the hardest place to play is, for me, I feel like, is Philadelphia. I can't stand playing Philadelphia.
The fighting Rocky Balboas.
The field is terrible.
Oh, yeah, it is bad.
The field, they might have the worst field in the league. So to me, I feel like that's one place, that's a tough place to play if you're just looking at the field.
What like the on field, or is it like locker rooms too? Like, or is it just the on field?
Just the on field. Just the on field. You gotta wear you can't wear your moldeds, you gotta wear your screw ins. For one, that slow you down. So to me, I feel like the Eagles was one of the hardest places to play. I love playing in Oakland. When the Raiders was in Oakland, I love playing there because
of playing on the baseball, like falling on the dirt.
I like getting into it with the fans. I like how the fans are.
Okay.
Their fans so passionate that they talk so much junk to you, and they done looked up everything. They know who your girlfriend is, who your kids are, and they're gonna talk about them. They're gonna. I
heard Brittany broke up with you in the 8th grade. She's married to Ronnie from down the street where you grew up. Like, that's what you're hearing from the Raiders,
right? But even worse than that, like I got a picture of one of my friends. He caught an interception when I was in Kansas City. And once he caught a pick six, he scored and put his foot on the ball and just kind of held his arms up, showing his guns. And all you see is Raider fans giving him the middle finger. That's it.
Oh, bro.
It was probably like 300 of them with their middle finger up.
Dude.
But yeah. Oh, my God. So those are the toughest places to play that I feel like are the toughest place to play. But I like playing in Oakland.
You know what the biggest thing for me is when I hear, like, and looking into this team, is like when you say stuff like that, right? Like when you say something like that, and if you got to go to Vegas with the same Raider fans in a dome now,
right?
Then that's when I start questioning, like, damn, bro, but we got to go up to Philly. TC said that place sucks to play. It's really tough. And did you ever come back? And I know that I should have looked this up. Did you come back to New Orleans though with the other teams? Like, when you were on the away team and you came back in the dome? How was that? How was that like as an atmosphere? Like, was it really tough to play in as an away opponent?
You know what? When I came back to New Orleans, it was, I don't know if it was a preseason game I came back and played. No, it was regular season. This was when I was in Kansas City. But the atmosphere was still the atmosphere. The dome still was rocking. I want to say the Saints ended up beating us, I want to say, maybe. But the dome still was rocking. And probably the top three teams that has the loudest is probably going to be Kansas City, the Seahawks, and New Orleans. Those three.
That 12 Seattle is loud.
It is. But those three organizations have the loudest fans to me.
Did the Saints fans say anything bad to you, like when you were back in Kansas City?
Nah, they really didn't. They didn't. I got a lot of love when I came back. Even when I come back just to visit, I go to the airport. If I'm getting a rental car or something, a lot of people still remember the Hail Mary catch.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So
Well, it's like Lance last week, he kind of mentioned it a little too, and he was like, "Man, when I came back, they were like, boo, you stink," like that. He's like, and when I finally came back, and the fans were like this, and I was like, he's holding back on us now. That's interesting. I lied to you. One more.
All right.
What about Atlanta though? Like as a player, we talked about rivals tonight. When you were going to Atlanta, you were like, "Oh, bro, this is an easy place to play."
I love playing in Atlanta. For one, I like playing in Atlanta early during the season because they're in the dome, and early during the season it's hot outside. So I like playing Atlanta for that reason. But you also get all the stars come out to the games when you play Atlanta. You got all your rappers there out there. You got your R&B singers. You just have some of everybody. It's almost like a club when you go play Atlanta. So the atmosphere is always cool.
I went to Atlanta, and I'm not gonna. My brothers and sisters live in Atlanta. We're right outside, and my brother said, "We gotta go try these chicken wings." And so I was like, "All right, just turned 21. Okay, go up to see my brother." And he goes, "I'm gonna bring you to the best place." And we get there, and I'm looking up. Okay,
I already know what you're about to say.
And I was like, strip him. At the time they had the signs out there. Remember, it said stripping chicken. And I was like, what's so stripping about this chicken? Is it like they don't fry it? They just grill that thing, And so we walked up in there. And I saw the most clothed woman in the world. My wife listens to this, she wasn't clothed.
Right.
But with all of that, TC, the girls weren't what I was leaving there talking about.
Right.
It was them damn chicken wings. Who was it that got caught out of the bubble? Was it Lou Williams? Got caught in there. So let me ask you.
I forgot who was in there.
Pooh Bear. Who was in the Pooh Bear's gonna bring it up for us. I don't know. Pooh Bear, where you at? Where you at, Pooh? He's coming. Lou Williams. Okay, thank you. Next time, Pooh, I get anxious, I'm just going to bring Pooh Bear up here. Lemon pepper Lou. Okay, so I'm a big lemon pepper guy. But TC, you ever teammates ever talk about going to those places like, "Hey, TC, we going here," and you'd be like, "No, I'm sitting here. I'm reading my Bible, man."
All the time. Look, especially when I was playing, the first thing they say, listen, if you don't go to Atlanta and go to Magic City, you missing a part of your life. So that's like you missing part of your life. But they also talked about the chicken. They also talked about the chicken. They also talked about everything else that goes on there. So I mean, it's it's a good time, man. It's a good time. But yeah, that's definitely something that that the guys definitely talked about.
Pooh Bear says, and ballet wings are the best. Can't blame Lou for that one. Ballet wings, I get what he's saying there. Pooh, okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah. Okay. Was there what's the best place? Like, were you super excited to go to Miami? Like when you play in Miami, or what's the favorite city? Like when you saw the schedule week one or week whatever or preseason. Oh shit. We going to Miami.
Definitely Atlanta and Miami. And you always, even Cali, any place out in Cali. So any place out in Cali.
LA wasn't even a thing,
Yeah,
right.
So any place in Cali, Miami, and Atlanta.
What were the dullest places? What were the like, oh dog, we're going to Detroit. You were going to Cleveland.
Shucks, you hitting them right on the head.
Okay.
Detroit, Cleveland. What's another place that was just blah?
What about Green Bay? Is Green Bay blah?
Green Bay is blah. But I'm gonna tell you something. The stadium is in the middle of a subdivision.
Right. Right.
Like literally, like any subdivision that you can think of, drive through that subdivision and just imagine soon as you go through it, in the smack middle of it is a stadium. And every seat in that stadium are good seats. Even if you're sitting at the top, they're very good seats. Their home season tickets are sold out for the next 23 years. It's
so crazy.
It's a really family environment. The community really takes to them because it's in the middle of their community.
How was Kansas City?
Love Kansas City. Kansas City is like a college atmosphere. That's the type of fans it is. It's more college atmosphere. Kansas City love their barbecue, but they're different. It's not, and that's one thing I used to get in a lot of, I can say arguments, but we used to talk a lot of conversations about it. The Carolina barbecue and Kansas City barbecue.
Okay, we are getting somewhere now, mister.
Those are the biggest things when it comes to the barbecue part of it. Kansas City barbecue is more like brisket,
right,
that type of stuff, like cookout barbecue. But the Carolina barbecue is more vinegar based, pulled pork, that type of thing.
I gotta be honest. I love brisket. But
it's not bad. Mm-hmm.
But I'm going with the Carolina pulled pork. Dog.
You got to.
So listen, we went to the reason I asked about Green Bay. We went to Milwaukee, of all places. I've been to Milwaukee twice, and I was like, dude, this city's gonna suck.
Say a lot of pimps in Milwaukee.
Okay, you're not lying. All right. So when we're sitting up in Milwaukee, we went and watched the baseball game, Brewers game. I didn't realize that Chicago was so close to Milwaukee. It's like 45 minutes. Dude, it's a cleaner bourbon. Dude, beer everywhere, handing it outside. So wild because I kind of felt like I was in the South a little bit. But we went to this place. It's a macaroni and cheese place. Obviously, Wisconsin, the cheese.
Yep.
They came out with this North Carolina pulled pork mac and cheese. And let me tell you something.
Hot taste.
There is nothing on God's green planet that there's two reasons why I've been to Milwaukee. One of them was go get this mac and cheese. Dog TC was the best thing I ever had.
Dang.
I'm telling you, bro. Guess where the guy was from?
Where at?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. There we go. We got the best barbecue. Hands down.
I'm telling you.
Hands down.
What about food? Like, do you ever go, like, I know this, we're kind of getting way down off topic, but this is interesting from a former NFL player. You ever be like, hey man, we're going to Chicago. I want a deep dish. They like, y'all talk about that. Like, dude, that's got to be the best part of the gig. It's like,
yeah. So of course, when you go to Chicago, you want the deep dish pizza. You want that. When you go to Philly, you trying to go to South Street, get you a Philly cheesesteak. When you go out anywhere out west, you go out Cali, you trying to go to what's the burger spot out there? In-N-Out.
Oh yeah.
In-N-Out burger. So
right.
Those are the spots, man. And then when you go to go to Pittsburgh, I think it's the Big Ben burger or something like that. You got to try.
Oh, it's like 12 or 15 pounds.
Yeah, but you got like fries on it. It's something it may not be called a Big Ben burger, but it's something that they put fries on it, all type of stuff.
Oh, if it's got fries on it, Big Ben. I mean, he was a chunky dude, man.
Yeah.
He was a chunky dude, man. I'm telling you. All right. I went down a long rabbit hole on this one, but it's one of those podcasts, man. You have those, like you go down the deep rabbit hole. TC, these are always the best. I mean, you always are going to have that. Every week you come with that one hitter quitter, right? The stories like, oh yeah, man, this happened. Bro, you got to keep bringing it because it's
definitely.
All right.
So
Go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
are you wanting one of my stories, or what are you asking me?
Oh, no. I was just saying. You
okay,
already did it there tonight. You already did it there tonight. The food, going to Atlanta. That's what I'm saying.
Definitely.
But if you do have a story, I will oblige.
That I'll tell you what, we'll save it for the next one.
All right.
We'll save it for the next. That's a good one.
All right. We'll see you guys soon. We're gonna end it out of here. Y'all have a good one. Peace.